Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. Make sure you are subscribed to the All This Math YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video. Hit the like button. Go ahead, hit the like button. Make sure you drop a comment down below, and also don't be selfish. Make sure you share this video with somebody. Put it in your group chat, whatever. All right, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to do some subtraction, but since I got one of my Martin Luther King sweatshirts on, I want to talk a little bit about Martin Luther King. Of course, Morehouse man, born and raised in Atlanta, wrote 3 books. That's what I want to emphasize. A lot of people don't know King wrote books. He didn't just pop out one day in 1963 and deliver the I Have a Dream speech, which many people that have studied King and his work would actually say is one of his more mediocre speeches. He really went in. He was sick with his pen, right? He got much better speeches than that. But his books, first book he wrote after the Montgomery bus boycott in 1956, Stride Toward Freedom. That's the book I don't have in my library. I need to grab that. He then wrote Why We Can't Wait. Some years after that, Why We Can't Wait. Why We Can't Wait has his letter from a Birmingham jail in it, which I recommend everybody read. Even if you don't read the whole book, just read a letter from a Birmingham jail. He was booked, wrote a whole essay, right, in the margins of newspapers, right, and then kept the newspaper with him. And then we got out of jail. Then he typed it up and everything and published it later. Then his last book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, right? So the man wrote 3 books. Familiarize yourself with him. You get out of school every year for his birthday. Some of us don't go to work on his birthday. We don't even know that man, right? And then a lot of us complained back in the day that, oh, Black History Month, all they talk about is the same people. Yeah, they mention the people, but then we don't take it upon ourselves to really go learn about the people and go beyond what the school might tell us, because a lot of us didn't even know that he wrote books. Didn't even know. We didn't even dig it. You might have found out when you went to college, or maybe you still never found out, even after going to college, right? He wrote his own books. Read his work, right? Right? And don't just fall into the trap of just following people that just say stuff on YouTube. And, even though I'm on YouTube saying stuff, but I'm telling you to go read his books. Read his work, right? Don't listen to what other people say about him, right? Only, don't read the secondary sources, right? And don't listen to the secondary sources or the people that just talk. Go read what that man wrote and draw your own conclusions from what he actually wrote. Also, there's a couple other books. Some people have also written books about him. So add that into the mix too. Let me grab these. This one right here, Codename Zorro, by Mark Lane and Dick Gregory. This deals with the murder of Dr. King. It's a lot to be said about that, right? And also, this book by James Cone was highly recommended to me. I haven't cracked it open yet, but it was highly recommended to me. Martin Malcolm in America. Shout out to Malcolm X. This is 2025. It's the 100th anniversary of his birth year. All right. So, yeah. But again, my point in bringing all that up is that there's work we need to do. We need to study, right? We need to study more, right? We hear about these people every year. We don't really know these people. We need to study their work. Read what they wrote. Read what they wrote. Listen to what other people said about them, but combine that with your own analysis and study of what that person wrote. That's a first-person source. That's a primary source, right? Don't just listen to what other people say about the person. You know how to read? Read what that person wrote. All right, let's get into the subtraction. So the subtraction, this problem, reads -5 minus -12. Notice what I said. This is a minus sign, right? And this number sentence, right, or this equation, or this expression, this is a minus sign, this is a negative sign. This is a negative sign. Think of this sign as like an adjective. This negative sign is like an adjective. It describes this 5. The 5 is a noun. It's a thing. Person, place, a thing is a noun, right? The 5 is a noun. The negative sign is an adjective that describes the 5. Then the minus sign is the action. What are we doing? We're minusing. We're taking away. We're subtracting. That's like a verb. And then this is another negative number. It's a -12. Now, why are these parentheses here? What they got to do with anything? Well, they're only there just for good form, because you typically don't want to have a minus sign followed by a negative sign, because that looks a little crowded. Things get jumbled up. Somebody might make the minus sign too long and make it one sign, and then now what you've done is you change the whole problem. All right? Now, what you should do when you see a problem written like this is what we call a double negative. A double negative. Now, somebody might be listening to me say that and be confused and say, well, how is it a double negative? Double means 2, but I see 3 negative signs. or 3 minus signs, right? That's correct. 1, 2, 3. But when we talk about a double negative, we're only talking about the negative signs or the minus signs that are in between two numbers. In between two numbers. So in terms of whether this is a double negative or not, this negative sign right here don't matter. This negative sign right here don't matter. Let me say it again because it's that important. This negative sign right here don't matter when we're trying to determine, is this a double negative or is it not a double negative? This is a double negative because it's 1, 2, 2 negative signs or 2 minus signs, right? In between the numbers, in between the 5 and the 12, right? You got 1, 2, and this is a minus sign technically. This is a negative sign technically, but they're interchangeable. They really represent the same idea, right? The opposite of something or the negative of something, right? That's what they do. All right. So now, what do we do when we see a double negative? We convert the double negative into addition, and we create an addition problem. That's what we do. We create an addition problem. So we're going to convert -5 minus -12. We're going to convert that into this. Check this out. -5 plus double negative becomes addition. Double negative becomes addition. Plus 12. That's what we're going to do. -5 plus 12. Now, there's a lot of ways to figure that out. Imagine you're on a number line, right? Let me just draw the number line real quick. That ain't long enough. Let's erase that. Let's do, boom. All right. Imagine you at -5. You start at -5. Now, we go on a number line. Now, this plus sign, what does this plus sign mean? Well, first, what does a -5 mean? That's our starting point. That's our starting point. We start at -5. That's what we're going to start at, right? What does the plus sign mean? The plus sign tells you which direction you're going to move. When it's a plus sign, move to the right. Why to the right? Because that's where the positive numbers be at. That's the direction that the positive numbers are in. So you move to the right. The plus sign tells you to move to the right. How far are you going to go? You ain't just going to go indefinitely. Just start running, start walking. No, you go 12 spaces. You go 12 spaces, right? And if you go 12 spaces, I'm not going to draw 12 spaces. I'm not doing that. But if you go 12 spaces, where you would end up at is, this will be 0, and then you end up at +7. You'd end up at +7. -5 plus 12 is equal to +7. That's where you would end up at. Right? You start at -5, you add, so you move to the right. If we were subtracting, we will move to the left. Subtraction means you move to the left. Addition means you move to the right. Subtraction, move to the left. Addition, move to the right. We're adding, and then how far do you go? This many spaces. This many spaces. In this case, it's 12. You go 12 spaces, you end up at 7. Because to go from -5 to 0, that's 5 spaces. And then if you already went 5 spaces, you need to go 7 more spaces. So what's 0 plus 7? 7. So that means -5 plus 12 is also 7. Now, in another video, and several other videos, I've talked about what's called the commutative property. Commutative property. What does a commutative property mean? In case you never heard of it before, it means that when you're doing addition or multiplication, you can switch the order of the numbers in the problem and then you'll get the same result. So in an addition problem, for example, 2 plus 3 equals 5. We agree to that, right? If I switch the 2 and the 3 and I make it 3 plus 2, 3 plus 2 still equals 5. You still end up with 5, right? You get the same result. It might not be the same situation if we're dealing with an actual application or a word problem, but you get the same final result, right? If we're just dealing with numbers, right? So 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. That's the representation of the commutative property. The numbers can switch places, and your final result or your sum is still going to be the same. Same thing with multiplication. 2 times 3 is equal to 6. Switch the numbers around. 3 times 2 is also equal to 6. Your product is still going to be the same. Your product is going to be the same, right? So now with this addition problem, I could switch the order around. I could do 12 plus -5. Notice that the 5 is still negative. Now where these parentheses come from? Why they there? Just because that's just what we do when we're doing algebra or pre-algebra. We don't want to have we want to separate signs and operator symbols from each other, right? Because we don't want it to be too crowded. I mean, you might see a worksheet or online resource or somewhere on Delta Math or Desmos or whatever program you might use in your school or Math IXL, they might not use the parentheses. That's cool, but some of us use parentheses. It's just our twist. It's just what we do. It's our prerogative, right? So now you got 12 plus -5. All right. Now, here's a rule when you're dealing with negative numbers. Adding a that you need to write down in your notes. Adding a negative is the same thing as what I call regular subtraction. Regular, good old subtraction from that you first learned early in elementary school. Adding a negative is the same as regular subtraction. What does that mean? That means I can rewrite this as 12 regular subtraction minus 5. 12 plus -5 is the same thing as just saying 12 take away 5. That's it. 12 take away 5. Just like if you're an adult, teenager, you got a checking account, you got $12 in your account, and then you spend $5, according to accounting rules, they may show it as an addition, but adding what? A negative value. Adding a negative $5 because you spent $5 or you withdrew $5 from your account. They may show it as an addition problem, but what are they adding? When you're adding a negative, that's the same thing as taking away. Just like if you start hanging out with somebody that's a negative person, they are taking away from your happiness. They're taking away from your health, right? You got a new friend or a new associate, but they're a negative person, right? So they're actually taking away from you, right? You really didn't gain a new friend, right? You gained a person that was going to take away from you. That's the same concept here. See, math is real life. Math represents everything that you will encounter in real life. If you give it time, you give it a chance, look at it closely, you'll see it for yourself. You don't got to take my word for it. Like LeVar Burton used to say on Reading Rainbow back in the day. All right? So look, 12 plus -5 is the same thing as 12 minus 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. 12 minus 5 is 7. Make sure you have your subtraction facts memorized. All right? Once again, shout out to Dr. King. Make sure you read his books. Read his books. Also listen to his speeches. A lot of his speeches are available on YouTube. There are a lot of speeches you can get on CDs from, different distributors and whatnot. Listen to his speeches. Read his speeches. Make sure you read his books. Read Letter from a Birmingham Jail at a minimum. Read some of the stuff he wrote when he was at Morehouse as a young buck, right? Writing for the school paper, the Maroon Tiger. Writing for that, right? All right? Also, again, I said this before, I'll say it again. Make sure you are subscribed to the All This Math YouTube channel. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you drop a comment under this video. Make sure you share this video with somebody else. Don't be selfish, all right? Then go practice doing subtraction with double negatives. And I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace.